Hello everyone to the PBA Draft 2025-26. This is a huge moment for all the draftees. You know, we got a lot of youngsters ready to come into the league and make a difference. So without further ado, let's get into the ceremonies. First of all, can I make sure everyone can hear me? Make sure all the audio is going well. Make sure all the audio is going well. All right, we should be good for a beginning. So in this PBA draft, we've got captains, which are Blake Atkinson, Riley Kinane, Matthew Young, and Campbell Brown. So we look forward to these guys leading their teams. Now, number one pick odds, it's a weighted draft, which, you know, seems to be different than past years where we've got the worst players getting the best picks and the best players getting the worst picks. So, you know, still could see anything happen on draft night. But we'll get into some comparisons. So we start off with Blake Atkinson. You know, his strengths, his shooting ability. He's a decent shooter. We got playmaking and we got hustle. You know, he's a guy that's gonna do the dirty work for you. He's not the most talented, but he's gonna get in there. He's gonna try his hardest. His weakness is obviously his physicality and his size. So we want to see how he matches up in this league because against the tougher competition, he might not match up. Now, best case scenario becomes a Trae Young. Worst case scenario, he becomes a Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Next up, we have Riley Kinane. We've got strengths, his leadership. I feel like Riley Kinane can lead any team. You know what I mean? He's got that real versatility about him where you can plug and play him. You can put him anywhere you like. Physicality as well. He's a physical player. And then his weaknesses, he's got a relatively low ceiling. You can't imagine Riley Kinane coming into the league and being that first option, being that scorer. And especially a weakness, height. And that's in bold, just so it's a massive weakness. NBA comparison, Muggsy Bogues. Then we got Matthew Young. Strengths, we got his size. He's a big unit, isn't he? Finishing, defense, you know. But his weaknesses is we've seen a lot in college where he doesn't actually apply himself that much. His effort at times can be quite lazy, and his hunger. Does this guy have enough will to win? So due to that, I reckon he's an Andre Drummond. Then last but not least, we got Campbell Brown. Strengths, his shooting. Now, you can imagine this guy will come into the league and be that number one option. So you wouldn't like to see Campbell Brown with a potential number one pick, Joshua Harris. I think them two would not get along very well. But he also has access to NGA players in this draft. He can make a bid on anyone he likes, provided he has enough points. And then the weaknesses for him, referees, he lets the refs get in his head, and that could be an issue in this PBA because the refs are tightening up on these calls, and we're not going to see as much physicality as we have in past years. And also the passing, he's got a little bit of tunnel vision. He likes the bucket. He's like a Michael Porter Jr. for the pro comparison. Now let's go back to the number one pick odds, and the draft lottery is about to commence. So this is where we really find out the order of proceedings. And we know the draft pool already. We've got Joshua Harris coming in. Potential number one pick. You'd assume he would be the number one pick. I think he's generational from what I've seen in college. He looks like a generational player. He looks like a dude that can turn your franchise around. You've got Lenny Golding. He's a guy that he always tries his hardest. He wants to win, and I feel like he could be valuable to any team. You've got Roman Grieve, who, yeah. And then we've got CJ Wilkinson, and he's a bit of an X factor because we haven't seen a lot of him. He's inexperienced. He's been injured during college, so we're not sure what we're going to see from him. But without further ado, we're going to start the draft lottery right now. So let me get up the draft lottery. Here we are. So selecting number 4th will be Toronto, which means Matt Young has the number 4 pick. All picks are going according to plan so far. Selecting number 3, Golden State, which means Campbell Brown will be selecting at 3. That is a bit of a fall. He was projected to number 2 pick, but he's dropped to 3. Now, this is where we know the number 1 pick of who could get potentially a generational player. And we've got Chicago, Riley Kinane picking number 2. And that means with the first pick, Orlando is picking number 1, which means Blake Atkinson. Calls for the draft being rigged, I don't know. But that's sometimes how the draft lottery goes. It doesn't always go your way. So all the picks went according to plan except for Campbell and Riley, who switched around. So now we know the order of the draft. It's time. With the first pick in the PBA draft, the Orlando Magic are on the clock. Let's see who they take. Now, I've just got a word from the man himself, Blake Atkinson, that he will be taking Joshua Harris, number 1 pick in the PBA Draft 2025-2026. Joshua Harris is a member of the Orlando Magic. Now, if we look at Joshua Harris, he really doesn't have many weaknesses. He's only got strengths, his size, his finishing ability, his strength. He's a big unit, and his offense. He's not the best on defense, but it's not a weakness for him because he's so big. NBA comparison, Michael Jordan. We expect to see this guy absolutely dominate his first year in the league. And I reckon him and Blake Atkinson, they can be a good pairing, good coupling together. So we're excited to see what that happens. Orlando's looking good this season. But with that said, Chicago are now on the clock for the second pick in the PBA draft. And we would like to get Joshua Harris on the phone, if possible, for an interview. Hello, Joshua Harris. You've been selected first in the draft. Thoughts on, feelings, emotions?
Hello, Joshua Harris. You've been selected. It's really just like, I'm being, sorry, I'm just clogging up a bit, but just the feeling of never in my wildest dreams was I just expecting this, Actually, that's a lie. I was expecting this. I wasn't expecting anything else. I'm glad to be drafted to this organization. Hope I can turn it around. Obviously, the history is lacking, but hopefully I can provide that for the future.
Now, there's been calls for you as a generational prospect and someone that can turn this franchise around. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I believe it. I agree with it. I would honestly say that's an understatement. I reckon honestly, the league has never seen anything like me. I can guarantee you, I'll be the MVP of this competition.
Wow, thanks, Joshua Harris. Thanks for your time.
No worries, mate.
Now, Riley has about 3 minutes left on the clock. Let's see. Trades are on the cards, by the way, guys. So we can see a potential trade in this draft. Who knows what's going to happen? We could see future first being traded. We could see player-for-player swaps. It's all going to be interesting how this night falls. But Joshua Harris is your number 1 pick. It's in this draft. So Riley on the clock. We'll see if he rings up, see if he makes his selection. Now, he's going to be struggling for time here because he's only got 1:30 left on the clock to make his selection. And if he doesn't make it in time, unfortunately, his pick is forfeited. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Oh. One minute remaining on the clock for Riley Canane. It's coming down to the wire now. He needs to make a selection soon. 30 seconds left. Now, just in the nick of time, Riley Kinane has made his selection. So I'll pass it on to the commissioner. With the second pick in the 2025-26 PBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls have selected Roman Grieve at number 2. And wow, have we got a bolter. This is completely unexpected for the draft, and it leaves Lenny Golding and CJ Wilkinson still eyeing for contention in their spot, and this is a shock. I cannot lie to you. His strengths, we've got size, we've got rebounding. He's definitely tall. He's definitely got that bigness about him. Does he use that bigness? I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if his game's going to translate to the pro level. Weaknesses: he's not a good finisher. He's not a good shooter. He's not a good passer. He's really your standard big, and this is where I'm interested to see, because I didn't think that Riley Kinane and Roman Grieve were a good fit, because I don't think Riley Kinane can be that number 1 option. But on this team now, he's going to have to be with Roman Grieve. Roman Grieve, at best, could be a role player. His NBA comparison is Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Let's see if we can get Roman Grieve on the phone right now. Talk to the new rookie. I'm sure he's thrilled with this spot. He's going to get a lot more money than he would have at 4. I'll give you the tip. See if I can get him on the phone. Always good to hear from these young bucks eyeing for their spot in the league. Hello, Roman Grieve. How does it feel to be drafted at number 2?
Spot in the league. Look, I feel like I've been disrespected by the league. The commentator's been into me all night, and I'm here to prove myself. I came out of college. I've grown a bit. I've been working on my bag, and I feel like I've been disrespected. And I feel like coming into this league, making a bit more money than I thought. But I want to earn every cent out on that court.
How do you think your game's going to translate to the pro level? Because there's been talk about how your game's not going to be able to translate just because you can't be that number 1 option. How do you think your game's going to translate to the pro level?
Look, I feel with my number 1 option, my coach being Riley Kinane, I feel like if his gravitational force can find me some space, I feel like I can. In the chat, fuck me. I feel like I can be that option that can be the number 1 scorer on the team.
Wow, so I'm looking forward to see Roman. Enjoy with your family. I'm sure you guys have a lot to celebrate.
Cheers, man. I'll speak later out on the court.
Thanks, Roman. So there you go. Shocking second selection with just 5 seconds to spare. You imagine in the draft rooms they were panicking a bit. They didn't know who to choose. They might have made a rush decision that's going to bite them in the back. But now that means that the Golden State Warriors are now on the clock with the 3rd selection. Campbell Brown, I would really be interested to see where he goes here. He's got access to NGA Academy prospects, so you'd assume he would go Lenny Golding, and that would be a very interesting pairing. So now he's got 5 minutes on the clock. We'll see if he calls in. I've heard they're not very active in the draft room over at Golden State, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, very shocking at number 2 selection. That's definitely going to be a headline. But I tell you what, if that works, he'll be known as a genius, that GM Riley Kinane over there down in Chicago, because what a pick if that works out. Now, I've just heard from word in the association of the third pick in the PBA draft. Campbell Brown is selecting. So now we've got 2 players left, learning to see who's going to be the last pick. You wouldn't want to be the last pick in this draft. It sort of has a stigma attached to it where you're the worst player in the league and, you've got a lot to prove. So we'll see where it goes. But I can announce with the third pick in the 2025-2026 PBA draft, the Golden State Warriors have selected Lenny Golding. Now, Lenny Golding is in my opinion, dream destination in Golden State. I think that is a perfect spot for him because he doesn't have to be that number one guy. He can be that grit and grind sort of player. He's got that X factor about him. You don't know what you're going to get. You could get a 20-point bomb or you could get a 0-point stinking. He's got versatility. You can plug and play him wherever you like on the court. He can play big. He can play small. He's strong. He doesn't have the biggest size, but he's strong. He can really get in there, get a bucket. But his weakness, his attitude, you want to see how his attitude translates. If things doesn't go his way, it could be a hard day for the Warriors out there. And as pro comparison, we've got Christian Doolittle from the Perth Wildcats. I think that's a really good pro comparison. You'd assume he'd play the 4 in this team. They're filling a void, filling a gap, filling a hole. So with that being said, we're going to try to get Lenny on the phone. But CJ, you are on the clock, so let's see if we can get the third pick in the PBA draft. Mate, congratulations first and foremost. Thoughts?
Yep, how are we doing, guys? Good to be here.
Yeah, mate, pleasure to have you. So what are your thoughts going into this draft? Where did you think you would land? Do you like your spot in Golden State with Campbell Brown?
Really happy. I don't really mind where I go, to be honest, because I know I'll outwork anyone and I just stay humble and just put my head down and just go to work. So I'm not going to be like this number 1 or number 2 pick where they're all hot heads and think they're the best thing ever. I'm going to get my head down and go to work for this team and this franchise and put them back where they need to be.
Yeah, that sounds really promising for all the fans out there. Can you just give us a sneak peek into who you want to form your game around?
I do think you had a pretty good comparison in Doolittle, big. I might not be, the tallest guy, but I do think I'm a good size and I feel like, I can play any position really, but, I'm just going to, do anything for this team, honestly. I'll do anything for the coach, whether that's go their best player or be the number 1 option. I'm just, ready to go and ready to get after a few blokes in the league that I'm not very happy with.
Mate, that sounds really promising. Congratulations, and I hope you have a bright future ahead of you.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Cheers, mate. So that was Lenny Golding. I tell you what, if he gets his attitude right, which he did in this interview, he could be dangerous. That team's looking good. I reckon you've got the Orlando, obviously, with the generational player Joshua Harris at the top. You've got the Warriors, and we'll see who Matthew Young from the Toronto Raptors takes with the last pick, because, you wouldn't want to be last in this draft, but we'll see who he takes. He's been on the clock. Hold up. There has been a trade. I'm hearing rumors of a trade. We could have been fake news, but I'm hearing a trade rumor. Wow. Lenny Golding has been traded to the Toronto Raptors in exchange for the number 4 pick in this draft. So huge for Toronto. They move up a spot, and the Golden State Warriors now have, for whatever reason, gone down to 4 and have not got any draft pick in this draft. So, all right, boys, thanks for the ads. Now, as I was saying, that trade is really shocking. It brings Lenny Golding to Toronto. The Toronto fans ecstatic, I'm assuming. And Golden State Warriors, what are they going to do with this pick? I'm really confused about this trade. If it works out for them, though, it will be quite shocking. Anyways, I can now confirm with the 4th pick who will be taken. Now let's have a look. With the 4th pick in the 2025-2026 PBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select CJ Wilkinson. So CJ Wilkinson, the last player in this draft. Let's look at his draft profile. We've got strengths. He's a good passer. He's got that vision. Defense, he's a good defender, especially for his small size. Weaknesses, he's inexperienced. He didn't play a lot at the college level. We didn't really see what we were sort of buying into. So it's going to be interesting to see how he translates to this league. But if it works for the Warriors, they will be known as geniuses for this trade. If it doesn't, this could be a Nico Harrison sort of move. Now, his NBA comparison, Bilal Coulibaly, a guy that people didn't really know what he was going to be coming into the draft, but that's basically what it's done. Now, hold up, boys. I'm hearing reports. I'm hearing major reports that the trade has been rescinded. CJ Wilkinson has failed his physical and the trade has been rescinded. CJ Wilkinson is a member of the Toronto Raptors. Lenny Golding is a member of the Golden State Warriors, as we originally thought. Wow. That could have really backfired for the Warriors, so I think they're pretty happy it rescinded. But Toronto, they would be kicking themselves right now. And to get a high-quality player like Lenny Golding, especially falling down to number 3, that opportunity comes around once in a full moon. So, yeah, but now we know the final order of all these players. So we've got the Magic, who you'd imagine would be the favourites for the title coming into this season. You've got the Warriors, Lenny Golding, Campbell Brown. I like that matchup. I like that fit. I think Lenny fits really well into that team. We've got Toronto. We've got Matt Young and CJ Wilkinson. I feel like, a big and a small doesn't usually fail them. And then we've got the Chicago Bulls, Riley Canaan and Roman Grieve. I'd have to say the losers of this draft so far. We'll see how it pans out during the season, but the losers of this draft. And then anyone with the number 1 pick, especially in a generational talent like this, to get a guy like Joshua Harris on the Magic, you'd have to say they were the winners of this draft. But, we'd like to thank everyone for coming out to this draft. We'd like to encourage the young prospects. And we wish everyone well. And we hope that everyone succeeds, and we hope we have a great PBA season of 2025-2026. Thanks, everyone, for coming along. And we'll see you guys when the season starts, Game 1. Fixtures will be released next week.